So hey guys, what's up? It's Aaron here, and today in this video I'm going to be talking about the film camp that I just got back from. So if you guys didn't watch one of my last videos, you probably didn't know that I went to a film camp. It was super fun, and yeah, today I'm going to talk about it. So I'm going to talk about everything that we did throughout the week, and I'm going to go through each day and kind of talk about what I learned and different things that we did. But before we do that, I want to show you guys the short film that we made, just to give you guys some context as to what I'm talking about throughout the rest of this video, because I know I'm going to be referencing it a lot. So without further ado, here's our short film that literally took all week to make.
Don't worry, you'll see your friends soon.
Ooh, scary.
I don't know, guys, this looks stupid.
What, are you scared now?
I mean, you weren't really gonna go after some dead guy named Mitchell, are you?
Who says we're not?
I'm game. What are we waiting for?
You guys are crazy. I'm staying here.
Fine. Those coming with me, rules first. Number 1, no phones.
Are you kidding me?
Rule number 2, once you enter the Institute, go to the elevator and punch in the exact time of Mitchell's death, February 1st at midnight. Rule number 3, the moment the elevator door slides open, close your eyes. No matter what, take one look and you'll meet Mitchell's doom. You'll never make it out alive.
Okay, now what?
Avery, shut up.
I didn't say anything.
Whatever, then who said my name?
What was that?
Wait, what happens when you break the rules?
What did you just do? Try the one on your right.
Wait, where's Kaden? Preston?
Don't worry, you'll see your friends soon.
So obviously this is a cringeworthy little short there, but you just gotta keep in mind that we are obviously rookies. 4 out of the 5 people at the camp in our group had actually never even been to the camp before. This guy right here has been to the camp before. And obviously no short film is going to be perfect. As a matter of fact, I'm watching it for the first time on my monitor, and it is quite a lot brighter than all the other monitors or projectors or whatever that we are watching it on at the camp. And I have seen a few mistakes that I didn't pick up the first probably 20 times that I saw it. Like right here in this shot, you can see the boom at the very top. In a few of the shots right here, you can see wires on the ground from our equipment. And right here, just for a split second, I look at the camera. So obviously not perfect again, but what can you expect? And technically we only had 4 days to make this thing, because the 5th day was the day that it had to be finished. As a matter of fact, it had to be finished on the night of the 4th day, and then the 5th day is when we presented it. But yeah, I'm gonna get into the whole process of how we got to making this short film right about now. So when I got there, I got my room, and I was the first one there before my roommate. Our roommate was this guy, Mason. He's a pretty cool dude. He was also the director and the cinematographer for our short film. We got to bond over some funny videos like these ones.
Cause you freaking freaks! When will you learn that your actions have consequences?
Have you ever had a dream that you want him to do you so much you could do anything?
And I can just hear him chuckling in the background just thinking about it. But yeah, when I got there, I kind of unpacked, and then he walked up and I met him, and then eventually our parents left and we were kind of set off onto our first day. So for the first thing that we did as a whole group, not just me and Mason, we got to kind of know each other. I think we walked around campus for a little while. By the way, this was at a local college of ours. But yeah, we walked around campus, kind of got to get a feel of where we were at. Then we got into the room where we spent most of our time. This is where all the lectures and stuff were. And everyone said their name and their favorite movie or something like that. And then we were put into groups. And so our group was the smallest. There were only 17 kids at the camp. So there were 2 groups of 6 and 1 group of 5. I was in the group of 5, and I definitely liked that better than I think I would have liked 6 people, just because 6 people seems like a lot, and 5 was kind of a sweet spot where everyone could put in their input and we had lots of ideas, but no one was kind of left out of the creative process, if you know what I mean. So in the group in total, we had me and Mason, this kid named Ryan, he was pretty cool. We had Annika and Claire. So it was kind of funny because right after we got put into our groups, again, we talked to each other, got to know where we were from and that kind of stuff. And then we went to lunch, and I walked to lunch by myself, not with our group. And literally on the way to lunch, our group had already decided that they wanted to do a horror short. I'm not a huge horror movie guy. As a matter of fact, I'm going to be honest, I've never actually seen a horror movie before. But it was alright, I was still open to the idea. And literally, on the first day, in just the first few hours, as a group, we were already talking story ideas and what we wanted to do for our short film. At lunch, the main guy that was sort of running the camp, his name was Jack Luger. He came up to us and said that we had 3 different things that we had to include in our short film. Number 1 was a prop, and that was a cell phone. You guys saw that. I threw it down onto the table. Number 2 was that one of the characters had to be named Mitchell, either first name or last name. Again, we had the character, the bad guy, the big ghost scary dude named Mitchell. And then third, we had to have a line, that being, it's on your right, or the one on your right. That's what we said. You could hear me saying that after I was banging on the door just for a second. So yeah, we had to work around that while we were making our script and stuff. And on the very first night, we got together as a group and we started, spouting out ideas. And by the next morning at breakfast, we had already written an ending to our story. Now, if you guys know anything about filmmaking, you'll know that not everything is put together in order. Not everything is shot in order, and that includes the writing process as well. Not everything is written in order. Sometimes you'll have an ending written before you have a beginning or the middle. And it's actually a good technique to write the ending before you write the middle. That way you can have sort of hints in the middle towards the ending or something like that. It's just an overall good idea to have an ending to your film before you write everything else. The funny thing is, though, the ending that we had written on the first night wasn't the ending that we ended up with in the short film. But anyways, I'll talk about that in just a little bit. On the second day, we started writing the script. We learned how to write a script. We sat in lectures that I talked about earlier. They were about an hour and a half. None of them were really boring, except for the editing one. That one was kind of boring because it wasn't very well done. The person that actually was supposed to do the editing lecture wasn't there, so they had to have a stand-in to kind of do the lecture, but it wasn't very well done. Anyways, I digress. We learned how to write in a lecture, and then later on that day, we started writing the actual script itself. There's this website that you could use to make it look all official, and there are certain things that you had to do with the script to, again, make it official. So by this time, we had already talked different ideas about the story, and we had kind of a general outline of what we thought that it was going to be. So Annika, our story writer, went to the website, and she was a champ. She stayed up really, really late and wrote the entire script. Now, this wasn't the final script, but again, she spent that time basically making and writing an entire script for us. By Wednesday, we almost had a finished script, and on that day, I believe we learned how to direct. That might have been the day before, I can't really remember, but we also learned how to do lighting on that day, which I guess this one was kind of boring as well, just because I'm not into the whole lighting thing. I know that I need to know how to do it, but it just doesn't really interest me at all. the person who actually talked about it and taught us about lighting, he seemed super into it. And all credit to him. Just do what you love, man, but that's not really what I like, so I wasn't totally into it. But yeah, by the end of Wednesday, we knew that we needed to have basically a finished script. Now, it didn't need to be all typed out and stuff, so Annika didn't need to stay up super late again. But we just had to have an idea because the next day on Thursday was shooting day. So that night, Wednesday night, me and Mason kind of stayed up brainstorming. Our whole group normally stayed up until maybe about 12 o'clock. But then once 12 o'clock came around, that was curfew, so we had to be in our rooms. And at that time, me and Mason started coming up with ideas for a different ending, and I finally came up with the idea of an ending. We kind of worked with it together, but this one scene that I'm showing you guys right now...
Wait, where's Kaden? Preston?
where Avery kind of looks over and is like, where's Caden? Then you see Preston, and then the camera pans over to where Preston is out of the shot and then pans back over to where he's gone. That scene was my idea, no big deal. But yeah, once we figured out what we wanted the ending to be, the next morning on Thursday, we told the team. They seemed to like it. And so on Thursday, we shot all day. From literally 9 o'clock in the morning till about 9:30 at night, we were shooting. Now, we had a little break in between just because we had to wait to use an area to shoot in. But it was definitely a long day. And I would like to say that it was one of the best days, you know, one of the most fun days, but it really wasn't. Anyways, one of the first things that we shot on this day was some outside scenes. Some scenes where we were outside walking towards the building while I was saying the rules of the challenge. But it turned out that we didn't have enough rules, or I didn't say the rules long enough, so we didn't actually have time to show any of those outside shots of us walking towards the basement. That's another thing with filmmaking. A lot of scenes will be cut out of the final cut of the movie. I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Mason, if you're watching this, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe they said that the amount of things shot to the actual things that they used was like 1,000 to 1, which seems insane, but I can believe it. So for like every 1,000 minutes that is shot, only 1 minute will be used. That wasn't quite how it was for us. Obviously, we didn't shoot that much, but I can believe that. But Friday was easily one of my favorite days. This was the editing day, and you guys all know that I really love editing. I didn't actually get to do any physical editing on the computer. By that, I mean I didn't like move the mouse around and like cut and splice and that kind of stuff because we used Adobe Premiere at the camp, but I'm really used to Sony Vegas. But Mason, again, he uses Premiere, so he was the one that was actually doing all the cutting and stuff. But me and Ryan were also in the room with him, and we were kind of shouting out ideas of what we thought and how we thought it should be cut. And then Mason basically just did it for us. He did give input and stuff. It wasn't like he was literally just there to do what we said. But yeah, it was easily one of my favorite days at the camp just because we were kind of in this room all by ourselves all day. And yeah, it was just really fun. We had lots of laughs. And for the most part, I was pretty happy with what we ended up with. And then on Saturday, in the morning after breakfast, we went to the main room where we had all the lectures and stuff, and we watched the other groups' short films, and we showed off our short film to the other groups. And then around 11:15, all of our parents came, and they all watched the short films. They obviously liked it because, you know, they're our parents and stuff. But yeah, overall, it was just really, really fun. Now, I do want to mention some of the things that I probably would have changed in our short film had I be the one in charge and the one telling, like, basically everyone else what to do, which I definitely wasn't. And I don't even think there was really one person in the group that had or that did say, oh no, this is how it has to be. But yeah, these are the things that I probably would have changed if I would have been that person. First off, I'll bet zero of you guys that just watched the short film had realized this point about it, and that was that the whole thing, the whole story was supposed to be a loop. Basically, what happens is at the very beginning, and you guys can go rewatch it if you want, you can hear Mitchell's voice saying, don't worry, you'll see your friends soon, and then the scream, then all of a sudden, they're back at the dorm watching that challenge video. And basically, what was supposed to happen and what you guys were supposed to be able to tell was that at the very beginning, she dies from Mitchell, or she gets put into the loop from Mitchell. Then they're back at the beginning. Then they go through all of it again. And at the very end, you hear Mitchell say, "Don't worry, you'll see your friends soon." And then they're supposed to be back in the dorm again. And, you know, it's just a loop. And I don't think that we conveyed our message very well. The people in my group said, "Oh, you know, if they just understand it, it's whatever. It'll be kind of like a little Easter egg. But if they don't, then it's okay because it's still a fun horror short." But personally, I would have conveyed that message a little bit more. One of our original ideas was to put that dorm scene at the very end again, just to kind of, you know, convey the message that it was a loop a little bit clearer, but we didn't end up doing that. So I would have changed the story just a little bit to make it more clear that it was supposed to be a loop. And that also explains the title Going Nowhere, because that they think that they're going to go do this challenge, but they're just going to go die and then kind of respawn in a sense. I don't want to say respawn because it's not like a game, but they're just going to come back in a sense and then go do it again, and they're going nowhere. But yeah, I would have just changed it a little bit to kind of make the loop a little bit more prominent. And then, of course, I pointed out all those little mistakes and flaws that we had. Those aren't a huge deal. I don't think, again, anyone really noticed them, but I was kind of just nitpicking. But yeah, overall, this was just a really fun week, and I'm glad to be back home, because after that, I went to a church camp, which was about 4 hours away from where I stayed at the college, and it was just a really long week. I left on Monday, didn't get back till the next Tuesday, and today is Wednesday when I'm recording this. Hopefully, I'll be able to go back next year. But anyways, guys, that's all that I have to talk about in this video. If you have any more questions, go ahead and leave them down in the comments below. I'll be sure to answer them. This video was super fun to make. By the way, I totally forgot to mention this at the beginning of the video, but the footage that you guys are seeing in between the little stuff that I pop up here and there, this is behind the scenes, and I recorded a bunch of footage, so much so that my phone actually died halfway through the process, just because I was shooting in 1080p 60 frames per second, and yeah, it died like halfway through the day. So there was a bunch more footage that I could have showed you guys had it not died. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching. This has been Aaron, and I will see you guys in the next one. Adios, my friends.